Oregon rental laws outline the rules in the state regarding lease agreements and evictions. We'll examine relevant laws for standard lease agreements, month-to-month lease agreements, and evictions. Standard lease agreement. A standard lease gives an overview of the terms between a landlord and tenant for the renting of a property. A standard lease is commonly a one-year fixed period and is the most widely used rental contract. Month-to-month lease. A month-to-month lease, also called an at-will tenancy, is an agreement between a landlord and tenant that renews automatically every month and terminates upon notice by either party. In Oregon, notice must be provided a minimum of 30 days prior to termination as required by law. Required disclosures. In Oregon, the following disclosures must be included as part of the rental agreement. Authorized parties. The name and address of any person authorized to manage the premises must be disclosed to the tenant. Carbon monoxide. If the property has any carbon emitting source, the unit must be fitted with carbon monoxide alarms. If the alarm are battery operated, the landlord must give the tenant new batteries at the commencement of tenancy. Floodplain. If the residence is located in the 100-year floodplain, the landlord must convey this information to the tenant. Non-sufficient funds. If the landlord charges a fee for checks that do not clear, it must be stated, but the fee can't be more than $35. Pending suits. If the property has 4 or less residential units, the landlord must inform the tenant of the following, if applicable: any outstanding notice of default under a trust deed, mortgage, or contract of sale, or notice of trustee's sale under the trust deed, any pending suit to foreclose a mortgage, trust deed, or vendor's lien under a contract of sale, any pending declaration of forfeiture or suit for specific performance of a contract of sale, or any pending proceeding to foreclose a tax lien. Recycling. For all multifamily units more than 4 units located in urban growth boundary, the landlord must provide instructions to the tenants on the ways to recycle. Smoking policy. The landlord must let all tenants be aware of their rules regarding smoking on the premises by issue a smoking policy guide. The landlord and tenant must initial and sign. Utility service fees. If there is any fee benefiting the landlord or other tenants that the tenant is obligated to pay for, it must be listed in the agreement. Landlord access. In Oregon, the landlord is required to provide 24 hours notice before entering the property for repairs or any other non-emergency reasons. Security deposit laws. In Oregon, there is no limit to what the landlord may charge as security. The money must be returned to the tenant within 31 days of vacating. Eviction laws. There are 3 legally accepted causes for eviction in Oregon. Non-payment of rent. If the tenant is late on rent, the landlord can issue a 6-day notice to pay or quit. This gives the tenant 6 days to pay the rent in full, along with any penalties, or vacate the property. The landlord may not issue this notice until the 5th day rent is late. Non-compliance. If the tenant breaks any portion of the lease other than late rent, the landlord may give the tenant 14 days to comply with the lease. If they do not cure their violation, the tenant must vacate within 30 days. If it is the tenant's second of the same violation in the last 6 months, the landlord has the option to cancel the lease and require the tenant to vacate within 10 days. 24-hour notice to quit. If the tenant is engaging in dangerous or illegal activity on the property, the landlord may issue a 24-hour notice to quit, which requires the tenant to vacate within 24 hours.